So you set up your typewriter on South Congress like on a semi-regular basis?
Well, I'm in school now,
okay.
So probably just once a month on South Congress.
Okay.
Usually a Sunday.
Okay. So if you want a custom poem by AR, you might find her on South Congress with her typewriter or two. And it's like on really nice paper. It's like an oracle. You could probably make an appointment with her, or you could go out to Utopia Fest this weekend. It's a rare treat to have somebody write you a customized poem that has a secret in it that you might not even know what it is right away. Also, Raw Paw's doing another thing. They're going to launch a blog, like a blog, and it'll be another way for you to send writing in or send ideas in. Clementine in the Red Hat, you might ask her after the event. You might be able to fill you in on the blog. You might plug the blog. Our next reader, Jonathan Lowell. It's just really a pleasure to meet him. He's, offhandedly mentioned like he walked the El Camino one time. I thought, oh really? Well, like that Martin Sheen movie where they walk the El. And obviously, I watch a lot of movies. Anyway, I'll let his poem speak for himself. And these books might be available at the East in the future, so I'll just plant that.
Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan. It's great to be here. I think it's the first time I've kind of been invited to read in front of mostly people I don't know, so it's a great honor. And I'll start with one that was published in the zine by Raw Paw a few months ago. It's called Muscle Memory. I went swimming last night in a box of birds and sand. Their stray feathers stuck to my skin as my arms churned. It's been years since I could properly remember your face. You turned your eyes upside down and sailed across the Gulf of Mexico to where land was cheap and plentiful. By now, you've probably drained more swamps than you can count. And I've been left with the egrets and the herons. Don't you remember the flocks resting on tin shacks and glorious oaks in Louisiana? Don't you remember the bridge we carried in our backpack in case we woke up on the banks of a river we couldn't name? This one is called Sidewalk. The sidewalk has the same blues, yellows, and grays of a partly cloudy afternoon, whose sinking sun filters through the dust kicked up from the day's cacophonies. The blast of a hose cleaning off stray petals from flowers cut from the Colombian highlands, the taunting squeaks of an invisible crane, the rub of cloth on glass, the crackle of wind beating ivy against brick. In the park across the street, the young fall asleep in the sun and wake up in the shade, while the old men sit on benches, licking their memories like stamps and folding their hands like envelopes, holding unsent letters. The air thickens and our bodies swell like beans in a bowl of water. There is a holy silence in the second or two between the time an ambulance passes and when the traffic moves again, right before the sky of stitched together breaths breaks at its seams and tumbles. Phases of the moon. Phases of the moon drift across the nearly empty midnight, cup of coffee dangling from my thumb like a canoe, bobbing in a still lake. flecks of the moon rise to the surface. Are those your eyes, or are they mine? I have swallowed everything in one gulp once before. I can do it again. The calendar stretched across the kitchen wall is too calculating, and the water boiled too quickly. I wish someone would stick me in the fridge before you come over. There's no place to hide in the bottom of a mug. So I'm going to read a selection from a chapbook that hopefully will come out soon, and I'll be releasing it here in like a couple months hopefully. And it's called Postcard Habitats. And they're kind of supposed to be, like AR said, sort of like Polaroids. It hasn't gone as quickly as taking Polaroids as I hoped, but it's actually going lightning fast for me to produce 20 in a few months. So I'm going to read a selection of them. They're all really short. Yeah, and the idea is that they're just like from some place. So this one is from the mailbox. I waded in zero, like I was soaking in an oatmeal bath. I stowed away on a rubber ducky to get here. My paper sailor's hat melted in the rain as I waited at your door. But anyway, I'm back now. How about a cup of tea or a glass of wine? Let me tell you about the war I saw from the telescope, about the chocolate I put in the mailbox, half eaten and left for a distant lover to find. So this one mentions Carl Ackley, who is a taxidermist, famous taxidermist. He did all the, not all, but most of the famous ones, American Natural History Museum in New York City. And so this one is from that display, from the display case. While leaving the museum, I asked myself, how did Carl Ackley rub tenderness into the glass eyes of a mountain lion? How did he fix a frozen stance of hunger and longing, forever staring into expanses that they would never enter? Bones, muscles, and tendons stitched together mid-stride or mid-scream, a cub's tongue stretched across its paw. I felt alone in my desire to weep for the fabricated souls stuffed into these bodies, and for my own mobility, my bones and muscles carrying me outside into the snow and ice-covered sidewalks, where I would wait for someone who I would probably never see again. From the embassy. Last week, I became the flour baked into a Wednesday batch of macaroons, served at afternoon tea in the embassy. I became crumbs atop the latest report from the field. I broke down into dust, embedded in the thin blue carpet, and I spent a night in a vacuum cleaner. My friends were shredded coconuts, sugar, and chewed up martini straws. Did you know the sound of laughter from inside someone's stomach is terrifying? Like a rattling underwater shriek pouring over you like a rock slide. Sister, I long for those days when we would just lie on the beach all day and pretend we were the sand. What am I doing on time? This one doesn't have a title yet, I don't think. I rubbed my fingers along the sidewalk and followed all the arrows outlined in chalk until I found a place to lie down. The inhalation of the city can knock you to the ground. I curled inside a spoon to sleep, and when the storm came in the late afternoon, me and the spoon stayed together as we floated down the gutter, and washed into the reservoir. After a while, everything and everywhere starts to feel like a war, but I know that isn't true. This one also doesn't have a title yet. I don't know where it's from. I'm sorry, I miss when you hung your serenade from the window while the sun was out, but I couldn't hear it. I was living in hibernation below the taut violin strings, humming a single note, vibrating under a bow cut from a horse's tail in Tunisia. I had to rip out all the moss so that I had a pillow to sleep on. I wish my eyes could be clouds, dissolving and reforming again, so that you could see in them anything you wanted to see. Every morning, I dip my hands in the pool and wash the dust from my eyes. Every day, I try to remember our old home while trying to build a new one. We're gonna do one more of those. Yeah, from the Floodplain. The howls at the end of the alphabet were strewn about with the pink Christmas trees and paper Halloween masks. Can you imagine the aftermath of an alphabet soup flood? The magazine pages are ragged and the print washed away. The dogs are sniffing the insides of the soup cans. I was handed a toothpick to collect the stray words stuck between rocks, hanging from tree branches. I felt vital and futile all at once, circling in the silence of a drying floodplain that once housed a million words for beauty. I don't know why I came here. I don't know why I would ever leave. A couple more. I don't really know what to say. I feel like I'm supposed to say something like either hokey or clever. I don't really do either of those things. So I'll just do a couple more. Those are like the latest ones. So now I'm going back to like the first ones I wrote a long time ago. This one's called Road Song. Wincing installed on the side of the highway, I was rummaging through my book of maps when you flew in through the crack in the window, just another feather shedding herself from some southbound bird, preferring drift to migration. Let me rest a while on your floorboard, you said. I want to live by the ocean. You nuzzled my shoe as we headed east through the night. Conversation leached through the car like wet sand poured through a perforated bucket. Dawn came and blinded us, and the hot sun stirred the winds, lifting all things not held down. Now, as you scramble up the side door, be sure to listen to what pours through the window. At first, it sounds like the unison roar of a burst dam, but after a while on the road, your ears adjust and you begin to pick up the cracked harmonics of the wind, the low tractor rumblings of heaving earth, the swirling alto sheets hanging from the clothesline, the high tenor whine of a distant ambulance traveling in some unknown direction. I'll do one more. Oh yeah, maybe I'll do one more postcard. Yeah, it's called From the Bunny Slippers. Based on a true story. I woke up feeling like a wet orange sinking through the bottom of a paper bag. All the men in this house are neatly folded towels, stacked in the hallway closet. The newspaper that explained things so calmly yesterday is blowing around the kitchen, and the dust got radical. They built a hideout inside a pair of bunny slippers left out on the porch. I watched their propaganda films to get over my hangover. The shadows cast against synthetic velvet walls are grotesque and highly unoriginal. You were right. No one was looking for me. I don't know why I keep hiding anyway. Thank you.